Okay, so, you sent this article our way,
Yeah.
and it's really interesting. It's
They
about
did.
something that a lot of folks are talking about these days.
Yeah, UDL for sure.
UDL, exactly.
Yeah.
Universal Design for Learning.
Big topic.
Yeah. And this piece
Right.
is a pretty hefty systematic review
Mm-hmm.
called Unraveling Challenges with the Implementation of Universal Design for Learning.
I like that title.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Unraveling Challenges.
Catchy.
Yeah.
A systematic literature review.
Mm-hmm.
It was just published in March 2024, so it's really fresh.
Oh, wow. Hot off the presses.
So for this deep dive, what we really want to get to the bottom of
Yeah.
is this question: what are the actual roadblocks
Right.
that people are hitting
Mm-hmm.
when they try to put UDL into practice
Mm-hmm.
in real pre-K through 12 classrooms?
Yeah. In the real world.
Because it's one thing for the theory to sound good,
Right.
but it's another thing entirely to actually make it work
Absolutely.
when you've got real students
Mm-hmm.
and all the complexities of a classroom. So that's what we're going to dig into today.
Sounds good. I'm ready.
Awesome. So I'm really curious to hear your take on this because
Mm-hmm.
UDL,
Mm-hmm.
it presents this really compelling vision.
Oh, it does. It's a fantastic idea in theory.
Right, like the idea is
Right.
we can design learning environments that are accessible and engaging
Yeah.
for every student right from the start.
From the get-go.
Yeah, and that's a powerful idea.
Absolutely.
But even the researchers in this review point out
Mm-hmm.
that there are some ongoing critiques.
Right. Some lingering questions
Exactly.
about, whether we're all on the same page about what UDL actually looks like in practice,
Right.
how to implement it effectively,
Yeah.
and whether we really have solid evidence
Mm-hmm.
that it's making the difference we hope it will.
Yeah, so our mission here is to unpack what this review tells us about those challenges.
I like it. Let's unpack it.
Okay, so before we get into the nitty-gritty, I want to give everyone a sense of the scope of this review.
Okay, good idea.
It wasn't just based on a handful of studies.
Mm.
Right. They actually synthesized findings
Mm-hmm.
from 32 different peer-reviewed research papers.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
32.
And these papers were published between 1999 and 2023.
Okay, so spanning quite a while.
Yeah, so they're capturing a pretty significant chunk of the research landscape on UDL.
Yeah, they did their homework.
And all of these studies focus specifically on UDL in pre-K through 12 settings.
Got it.
And they looked at how UDL affected student learning
Right.
in lots of different ways. They're understanding their motivation,
Okay.
even their classroom behavior.
Yeah, the whole picture.
So with all that in mind,
Mm.
what was the main takeaway?
Yeah.
What's the big picture?
I think the biggest thing that jumped out at me, and I think this is really key,
Mm-hmm.
is this sense of a mismatched intent and action.
Okay, mismatched intent and action.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So basically, the review is highlighting this gap
Okay,
between the core principles of UDL,
right.
like those big ideas about providing multiple ways for students to learn and engage and express themselves.
Right.
And what's actually happening when people try to put UDL into practice in classrooms.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe even more importantly, how those implementations are being studied.
Yeah, how the research is being done.
Exactly.
Okay, so mismatched intent and action.
Yeah,
That sounds pretty serious.
it is.
So let's unpack that a bit.
Sure.
How did the researchers actually reach that conclusion?
Well, they took a close look at all 32 studies,
Hmm.
and they kind of broke down, how well the teaching strategies or the programs described in each study
Yeah.
actually lined up with the nuts and bolts of UDL.
Okay.
So, they looked at whether the studies clearly connected what they were doing
Mhm.
to the specific UDL checkpoints, the guidelines, and the overall principles.
Okay, so making sure that they were really grounding their work in the UDL framework.
Yeah, exactly. And they were also looking to see if these studies connected their UDL implementations
Mhm.
to established ideas about how learning actually happens.
Right, so not just pulling things out of thin air. Right.
Yeah, making sure it's grounded in solid learning theory.
Okay, so that's how they set about analyzing these 32 studies.
Right.
And what did they find?
Well, this is where we start to see the first major challenge emerge.
Okay, lay it on me. What's the first big hurdle?
So the first big issue is what they call a lack of explicit alignment.
Lack of explicit alignment.
Yeah. Okay.
What that means is that a lot of the studies
Mhm.
didn't clearly spell out which specific UDL checkpoints they were trying to address with their teaching methods.
Okay, so they were saying they were doing UDL,
Yeah,
but they weren't being specific about which parts of UDL.
exactly. And it wasn't always clear how the specific things they were doing in the classroom
Mhm.
were connected back to that detailed UDL framework.
Right. So it's like saying, I'm using this new teaching method,
Yeah.
but not explaining how it relates to UDL.
Exactly.
So how can we really know what's being tested and what's making a difference for students?
It's like trying to follow a recipe.
Okay, I like where you're going with this, where they just say add some spices,
Right.
but they don't tell you which spices.
Or how much.
Exactly.
So you wouldn't know what actually created the final flavor.
Right. You just have to trust them.
Right, and hope for the best.
Exactly.
So for someone who's trying to use UDL in their classroom, what's the big red flag here?
The big red flag is that without that clear connection between what you're doing and the UDL guidelines,
Yeah.
it's really hard to figure out what's working and to build that solid evidence base.
Right.
So if a study shows a positive outcome,
Yeah.
we can't be sure if it was because of something specific they did with UDL
Right.
or just because of some other factor.
Or just because of something else.
Yeah.
It's like trying to figure out why your plant grew taller.
Exactly.
Was it the new fertilizer? Or was it just that it got more sunlight?
Right. You don't know what the real cause was.
Exactly. So the studies aren't necessarily bad,
No.
but the connection to those specific UDL checkpoints
Right. The nitty-gritty details
is missing, which is
the problem.
okay. So that's challenge number one.
Right.
What's the next big challenge that they uncovered?
All right. So challenge number 2 is uneven coverage of UDL.
Uneven coverage.
Yeah. So what the researchers noticed
Mm-hmm.
is that the studies tended to focus on certain UDL checkpoints
Okay.
much more often than others.
Interesting.
Some parts of the framework were getting a lot of attention and others were being neglected.
Okay. So does the review give us any clues about which parts were the popular kids
You know,
and which ones were being left out?
it doesn't get into specific checkpoints,
Okay.
but I think the bigger issue is that it creates this kind of lopsided understanding of how UDL is being used.
Right. We're only seeing a piece of the puzzle.
Exactly. We might know a lot about, providing multiple means of representation,
Okay.
but not so much about how to support students in staying motivated.
Right. Or engaged.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So it's like we're only seeing a slice of the pie.
A narrow view.
We might know a lot about one or two ingredients,
Right.
but we don't really know how they all come together
Yeah, or if they even work well together.
to make the whole recipe.
Exactly.
Makes sense. So what's the third challenge?
All right, so challenge number 3.
Hit me with it.
This one has to do with the UDL framework itself.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah, so they pointed out this overlap.
Overlap.
Yeah, among multiple checkpoints and guidelines.
Okay, so what does that mean?
Basically, they're saying it's not always clear how the different checkpoints relate to each other,
Got it.
or even where one ends and another begins.
Oh, I see. So there's some blurriness in the framework itself.
Yeah, there's some fuzziness.
Okay, so how does that play out?
Well, it makes it tricky for teachers
Yeah.
to really target specific needs
Okay.
using UDL, because if the categories aren't distinct,
Right.
it might lead to a more general approach rather than a really focused and intentional application.
Yeah, it's like if you had a toolbox, but all the labels had rubbed off.
Oh, yeah, that's a good analogy.
You wouldn't know which tool was for what.
Right. You'd just be guessing.
Exactly. So it makes it hard to be precise
Yeah.
about what you're doing and what impact it's having.
And for research, too, it makes it hard to study the effects of specific checkpoints.
Right. Okay, so we've got research that's not clearly linked to specific UDL checkpoints.
Yeah.
We've got this uneven focus on different parts of UDL, and we've got some fuzziness within the framework itself.
Right.
So those are 3 pretty significant challenges.
They are.
What's the final one that they bring up?
Okay, so the final challenge, and this one's really crucial,
Yeah.
is that they found a lack of theoretical guidance.
Lack of theoretical guidance.
Yeah, regarding the design and implementation processes.
Okay, so let's unpack that a bit.
Yeah.
Because I think this is a really important point.
It is.
So what does it mean for UDL implementation to lack theoretical guidance?
Well, it basically means that a lot of these UDL efforts weren't strongly connected
Okay.
to well-established theories about how people learn
Right.
and how to design effective instruction.
Okay, so can you give me an example?
Sure. So think about,
Yeah.
theories about how students develop self-regulation,
Okay.
what motivates them, or even how their brains process information.
Right, cognitive load.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A lot of these studies didn't clearly connect their approach to UDL
Right.
to these kinds of fundamental learning principles.
Okay.
So they weren't really explaining why they thought a certain UDL strategy would work
Interesting.
or how it was supposed to impact student learning.
So it's not enough to just say,
Right.
we're offering choices because UDL says to provide multiple means of engagement.
Exactly.
You have to understand why offering those specific choices
Right.
in that particular way might actually tap into students' motivation.
Right, or help them learn better.
Yeah, because without that theoretical grounding,
Yeah.
it's kind of like we're just hoping for the best.
We're just crossing our fingers.
Right.
Yeah, and that's not a good approach.
No, and when UDL implementation is rooted in those theories,
Yeah.
it gives us so much more confidence
Yeah, absolutely.
that it's actually going to be effective.
It gives us a reason to believe it will work.
Right. And it helps us understand why certain things work the way they do.
Exactly. So, for example,
Yeah.
we know from cognitive science that presenting information in multiple formats can really help students learn
Right.
because different students process information differently.
Yeah. So this theoretical foundation,
Yeah.
it's not just about, sounding smart.
Right. It's not just academic jargon.
Yeah, it's about making sure that what we're doing is actually grounded in how learning happens.
Exactly. It's about making sure that what we're doing is actually effective.
Yeah. And without that, it's hard to understand how UDL really works.
It is.
Okay, so we've got these 4 major challenges:
Right.
lack of explicit alignment, uneven coverage, overlap within the framework,
Yeah.
and lack of theoretical grounding.
Yeah. 4 big hurdles.
So given all of that, did the researchers offer any advice
He did.
on how to move forward?
Yeah, they gave some specific recommendations.
Okay, so what did they say?
Well, first, to address that uneven coverage,
Okay.
they said that future research needs to focus on the UDL checkpoints
Yeah,
that haven't gotten as much attention.
right. We need to shine a light on all parts of the framework.
Exactly. We need the full picture.
Okay, what was their next suggestion?
So the second recommendation was all about being more explicit
Explicit about what?
about which UDL checkpoints they're using in their interventions
Okay,
and how those checkpoints relate to each other.
got it. So being more transparent.
Exactly, and intentional
Yeah.
about how they're using the UDL framework.
Okay, and what was their final recommendation?
So their final recommendation, and I think this is probably the most important one,
Okay.
is that future UDL implementation and research should be guided by established learning theories.
Okay, so bringing it all back to those foundational principles.
Exactly, because that provides the why behind the what.
Right. It helps us understand the reasoning
Yeah.
behind the choices we make.
Yeah, and it helps us explain the outcomes.
Okay, so the call is for a more thoughtful, more theoretically informed,
Yeah.
and more clearly articulated approach to both using and studying UDL.
I think that's a great way to sum it up.
Yeah. So it's not just about applying the framework.
Right,
It's
yeah.
about really understanding why it works
Exactly.
and where it might need some tweaking.
Yeah, it's about continuous improvement.
So to wrap this up,
Mm-hmm.
I think the big takeaway for our listeners
Yeah,
is that UDL holds incredible promise
it does.
for making education more inclusive and effective.
Absolutely.
But this deep dive into the research
Yeah.
reveals that we're facing some real challenges
We are.
in how it's being implemented and studied.
Mm.
And the core message is that we need much clearer and more intentional connections between the ideas of UDL,
Right.
how it's being applied in the classroom,
Mm-hmm.
and what we know about how learning happens.
Exactly.
And for all of you listening,
yeah.
whether you're an educator or researcher,
Right.
or just someone who cares about creating more equitable learning environments,
Mm-hmm.
understanding these challenges is really crucial.
It is.
It gives us all a more realistic view
Mm-hmm.
of both the potential of UDL
Yeah.
and the current realities of
Right.
its implementation.
Yeah. I think that raises a really interesting question.
Mm.
How might a more theoretically sound and
Yeah.
clearly articulated approach to UDL
Mm-hmm.
actually transform what we see happening in classrooms?
That's a great question.
And what role could learning theories play
Right.
in bridging that gap
Yeah.
between the promise of UDL
Mm-hmm.
and its impact on diverse learners?
Yeah. It's something to really think about.
Definitely something to keep exploring.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Well, on that note, I think we'll wrap up. Thanks so much for this fascinating conversation.
It was my pleasure.
I always learn so much from you.
Likewise.
And to everyone listening, thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
We'll see you next time.
See you.